Hi, everybody. Good afternoon here on the East Coast. Welcome to the live stream. We're going to wait a couple minutes to see if people join. And I see that we have a few people here already. Hi, everyone. In this live stream, I really wanted to go over everything that you could not see on the blog from the New York City Marathon. So if you haven't watched that blog, there were a lot of tears towards the end. I pushed. I truly gave it my all to New York City Marathon. So it was hard. It's probably, I can't say it was the hardest marathon I have run, because my first one, I truly hit the wall and I basically walked for the last 6.2 miles, which didn't happen in New York City Marathon. But it was a hard course. Hi, Taminda. It was a very hard course. And leading into it, I was very tired. So we're going to go over all those details that you couldn't see in the video, in that blog. Okay, so I have a few things that I want to go over. I wrote down a list of topics that I wanted to go over. So my training was actually, I was feeling really strong in my training. I did all the runs in the specified pace that I was supposed to do them to be able to finish this marathon in 4 hours 20. Okay, now if you have watched the video, if you have checked the New York City Marathon app, you guys know at this point that I finished in 4 hours 45. So that's 25 minutes more than I was aiming for, which is disappointing, but it's still up here for me because my best marathon was 4 hours and 58. So it still is up here. Now we could blame the reason that I didn't hit my goal to maybe the training was not right for me. It's possible the training plan that I was following was not right for me. But the fact of the matter is that I gave it my all, and that's undeniable. I did the best I could do with what I had the day of the marathon. So as you pop in, if you have any questions, anything that you would like to know about the New York City Marathon, I know some of you are really itching to run this someday. And this was a dream of mine since for as long as I had started running. So if you have any questions about specifically the New York City Marathon, not just mine, about the logistics, the course, the organization, anything like that, just pop them in the comments and I will answer them as I read them. Okay, so first things first. The shoes that I ran on, that I ran with for this marathon, I used the Adidas Adizero Boston 9, which are phenomenal shoes. I love them. This is the first time I ran a race in which I don't feel any, like pain points in my feet. Like they were so comfortable. I could have continued wearing them. Now I had a change of clothes at the end of the waiting for me at the finish line, but I could have just walked on my shoes. They were very, very comfortable, even after 26.2 miles. So the shoes were right on point. I mean, my choice of shoes was perfect in my mind. I did not feel them at all the whole race. They were super, super comfortable. So again, those are the Boston 9, and Adidas actually re-engineered the Boston. So now they have the carbon fiber, the plate. The 9 does not have the carbon plate. So they don't give you that boost. It's just, they're very light shoes, but they're super, super comfortable. So I didn't have any black toenails, or I didn't lose any toenails. That was no blisters whatsoever. So I was very happy. I'm very happy to report the Adidas Boston 9 performed 100%. In terms of what I ate before the marathon. So my corral started at 11:20. This is not the typical marathon in which, you start and all the corrals keep moving. It's a lot of people. They had the corrals distanced in between them, all the waves, due to COVID. So they wanted to keep people spread apart as much as possible. So I was supposed to start at 11:20. I started right on time. So the whole, race was moving along on time, which is great. It's really well organized. But what that means is because you were starting at 11:20, if you have breakfast in the morning, you're going to be hungry at 11:20 because it's almost time to have lunch. So what I did is in the morning, I slept over at a friend's house. She lives in New York City. And we had breakfast at 6:30. I had a bowl of oats with a scoop of protein powder just for flavor. And I just like, just it gives it like a little bit more flavor than just the basic oats. I had that, and it was about a cup of oats. And then we head out of the house and we went to the Staten Island ferry, which you have to hop on to get to the start line. So that whole logistics is, I mean, it's not complicated to do. You just have to follow everybody basically who's just like a homeless person, because we're all wearing like like pajama pants and like extra clothes, and we're not on our running clothes. Our running clothes are underneath all of that because it's cold in the morning. So you have to go, depending on, you can choose other modes of transportation, but because I was in New York City, we only had to be like one station inside the subway and then take the Staten Island ferry, and that was pretty flawless. We arrived at Staten Island ferry, we were there with friends, and then the Staten Island ferry takes you to the other side of the Hudson River. You arrive to Staten Island itself, and then the New York City Marathon buses you all the way to Fort Wordsworth, which is where the race starts, where the runners village is. So that whole process, since we left my friend's house till we arrived, it was basically 2 hours, 45 minutes. You're just traveling to the start line. So I had on me 2 bananas and 1 apple. I ate 1 banana inside the bus at like 9-ish, which was 2 hours and a little bit after I had had my breakfast. And then when we arrived to the runners village, I had the other banana, an apple, and then at the village, they have all sorts of things. They had donuts, they had bagels, they had hot water for your tea, they have coffee. I mean, they have so much stuff, Gatorade water. They have a lot of things that you can actually munch on when you're there. But yeah, I ate my banana, my apple, and then I just grabbed a bagel, and I had like, I don't know, not even half a bagel, because then at that point, they call you on the speakers, and then it was my turn to head over to my corral, which is so perfectly indicated. I mean, everything is like, it's not hard, because everything is, they have signs everywhere and volunteers everywhere. So, oh yes, this is the shirt. I should have showed it before. Yeah, this is the shirt. Okay, here, New Balance, and then it has the sponsors in the back. So one thing I forgot to say, when you are in the Staten Island ferry, they have a bunch of volunteers. This is the first time in a race that I get offered more pins for my bib. So the volunteers were coming around with bags of pins saying, "Do you need pins? Did you forget the pins to put the bib on your t-shirt?" So, I mean, they were coming with water. It's so phenomenally well organized. It's just a super top-notch, hi Ben, race. But going back to when I was going to my corral. So then I went to my corral, and then everything moves pretty quickly. They start calling waves and corrals, and you just move forward. They have the national anthem for every start. So when you're in the runners village, you sort of hear the national anthem in the back, because they're doing it for the prior waves. So it's kind of neat. The time went by really quickly at the runners village. I was with friends, so it's possibly would have been different if I hadn't been with so many people. There were people that had like blankets, and they were laying down on the ground and just sleeping before they were called for their corral. So if you do this race and you're alone, you don't have anybody to talk to, it's probably a good idea to bring something where you can actually lay down and just rest. I mean, it's potentially it could be super cold or raining, or who knows, even the snow in November is kind of early for it to snow, the beginning of November, but it could happen. So, but if the day was so beautiful, I think if I had been alone, I had a blanket on me that I just left behind, I would have just laid down on the ground and just rested there. But again, I was just chatting with friends, so I didn't even have time. I mean, the time went by so quickly. It was awesome. So then once I started, this is something that made me so mad. So I connect my Garmin. I start my Garmin, and as I started, like right before, like we're moving, progressing towards the start line, my Garmin starts, "Hi, Beverly. Hi. Hi, Mark. That's awesome that you're here. Go watch my video, Mark." um, I mean, my video with the New York City Marathon vlog. So once I was about to start, I connect my Garmin, and then my Garmin starts updating, which is maddening because that meant that I started the race not knowing truly my pace. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to aim I wanted to finish in 4 hours 20, which was what I had been training for. So I thought, okay, let's just hold back a little bit because obviously the last 6 miles are the most complicated ones in any marathon, and New York City Marathon is super hilly. So I wanted to just rein myself back a little bit. So I said, okay, I'll just do 10, maybe 10:05 at the beginning. I could not track my speed because my stupid Garmin was updating, and it didn't finish updating. I guess it was trying to connect to the GPS or something because I was in the lower level of the Verrazano Bridge. It did not connect to the GPS, so I was well into Brooklyn. So unbeknownst to me, I didn't know this at the time, but I think I started too quickly. Like I was probably going too fast, but I did not have a way to know, am I going too fast or not? Because my Garmin was just looping around and updating. And if you look at my stats on Garmin, actually it says that I ran 24 miles. I think it's because the first 2.2 miles are lost. My Garmin never connected till I was out of the Verrazano Bridge. So that was kind of, yeah. And I was so happy at the beginning. I was like in the zone. I had my music and it was so great. And I was feeling strong. I mean, I was tired because, the day before we had walks all around New York City, the expo, and we went to the finish line and all of that. But I felt good starting the marathon. So that was an issue. Then I saw the pacers like right coming off when you're on the bridge, especially if you're underneath, underneath, not on the top of the Verrazano Bridge, but underneath, it feels a little bit claustrophobic because you're surrounded by people, and it feels like the ceiling, like the roof, is kind of, it's not the truth, but you're running, and I don't know, it's like you go down, and it's kind of a little bit claustrophobic in my opinion. So I did not see the pacers because that was the next thing I thought. Okay, my Garmin is not connected. I don't really know my pace, but if I find the pacers, at least I know kind of what pace I'm holding. I was thinking also ahead, like, what if my Garmin never connects the whole race? So yes, I need a new watch. Talk to your people, Mark. Because I need a new watch. I needed one yesterday. I needed one for the race. So just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it was really an issue because it made me nervous about how am I going to know my pace for the whole marathon if the Garmin is not connecting, ends up not connecting to the GPS. So then finally, when we come off the Verrazano Bridge, which is like 2.5 miles, I see the 4 hours 25 pacers, and they are like well ahead of me. So it's like, okay, they're ahead. I wasn't going out that fast because the 4 hour 25 are ahead of me. Now, I was going way too fast. I can show you, I had all the paces downloaded so you guys could see it. It's interesting, if you didn't have a watch, would you have run? No, I think I was going way too fast. I would have burned out, Mark, as it happened later. But in the end, after looking at the splits, after the fact, after I finished the marathon and everything, when I looked on the app said that I had been running at like 9:40, that whole section. So I went out way too fast. I had no way of knowing. I thought I was going at the pace that I wanted to go out, which was like 10:05, 10:10, but I wasn't, even though I was next to the 4 hour 25 pacers. Now, I was behind the 4 hours 25 pacers all the way through Brooklyn. So the first 8 miles, I was behind them, and still the app said that I was going faster. So I don't know if maybe they were after me. I don't know how that possibly happened. Anyway, finally my GPS connected, my Garmin connected. But then the average that it was telling me I was going at, it was probably, again, it was not accurate. So Brooklyn was my favorite part of this race. There's a ton of people, a ton of signs, a ton of dogs. I pet a few dogs, so even stopping to pet the dogs, I guess I was going out too fast anyway. I was having so much fun, and the music is so loud. It's incredible how it seems like the neighbors are competing for. They're like, it's who's going to be the loudest, because you're running, as you're running, you're not even passing people, and you can hear the music for the next neighbor ahead, and they're kind of sort of mixing. It's just crazy. Have a coconut water. Oh, thank you. You're so awesome, Mark. Thank you. I will. so yeah, it's super, super loud. The only portion that does not have any music is once you hit the Jewish neighborhood in Brooklyn. There's no one there. So there's people walking on the sidewalks, but there's no one there. And it's actually interesting because at that point I was so saturated with the noise coming from everywhere and people yelling names and people with the posters. The hyperstimulation that your brain goes through, it's just crazy. I mean, I was like saturated, like with all the energy from people coming, and I was trying to like keep the pace, and I was trying to follow the pacers, and it was just so much coming at you that when you hit that portion of Brooklyn where there's no one, I actually thought, oh my God, peace and quiet. Like now I can go in my head, connect my music, listen to my music, and just, get in the zone and just, run well, which is what I wanted to do. So right after that, you enter into Queens. And then again, there's a ton of people. There's a ton of like people with posters. There's people offering beer, people offering water, people offering chips, bananas. I mean, if you want to eat through the marathon, you could do that. I started at this point, I think at mile 4, I had my first gel. There's water every mile. So there's no shortage of water, and they have water and Gatorade on both sides of the course. So if you miss one, you can take water or Gatorade the next time. So I had the goo, I had water. And then about mile 9, my stomach was feeling a little bit queasy, which is never happens to me. But I think I had too many, like the banana and the and the apple and the half bagel that I had eaten right before the race. I think everything was like kind of digesting, and I was feeling a little bit crampy. So I was like, okay, this is not good. So I stopped taking gels. So I think I only took like 3 gels, which was a good decision. After that, I was alternating water, Gatorade, water, Gatorade, water, Gatorade, which I think that was perfect, because I think otherwise it would have been too many carbs and too much sugar on my stomach. Because again, I was feeling like I would have had to stop at a porta potty at some point, and I didn't have to. So maybe the pacers weren't, I do think the pacers were not running exact pace. And I'm going to tell you why. Because at one point I could see, like I was behind the 4-hour 25, and I could see the 4-hour 25 and a little bit ahead the 4-hour 20. And there was no way there was 5 minutes in between them. So I think the 4:25 that I was following, they were going too fast, I think. So did they have gels out as well? Yes, they did. I don't remember how many, but at least 2 stops had gels on them. And you could take several. So if you, at the first stop, you want to take, no one's tracking how many. I mean, the volunteers have like their hands full. So if you wanted to just grab several, and they even have different flavors, and they're yelling, like they're saying the flavors, like with caffeine, no caffeine, mango, orange, like it's all honey stinger though. So I am familiar with honey stinger. I had honey stinger on me, actually. I had honey stinger and goo. So, but again, I just had 3 gels. I didn't have any more. I was planning on having 7, but I didn't, because I thought my stomach was getting a little bit upset. So, but yeah, there's no shortage. You don't need to take anything with you other than those first maybe 8 or 9 miles if you want to have something before that. Because after that, they start, they have gels. And I want to say they had gels in 2 stations. They might have had another one towards the end, but I towards the end, I wasn't paying that much attention. I was just going. So then when you right before you reach the half point, the half marathon, there's a bridge there. And till then, the course is kind of not complicated. It's not hard. I would say it's easy peasy. In my opinion, I was feeling strong. At one point, I remember trying to find the mile marker that I was on, and I saw it was mile 10, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm on mile 10 already. So I was like, it went like this. I was like, I got this. This marathon is going to be like a piece of cake. Yeah. Well, after that half point, it's not. So you're going over that bridge from, it's in Queens. It goes over like a highway. So it's really not a bridge, it's an overpass. So you go over there, which the elevation is kind of there. There were a lot of people walking at that point. I ran it, which I probably should have walked it, because I was just, like the people carry you away, like you hear so much noise. And so I just ran over there, and it was pretty long. It was probably a mile and a half long, that overpass. And then right after that, you're in Queens, tons of buildings. My GPS signal was lost again. So I didn't really know. But again, I had the 4-hour 25 pacers there. So I thought, okay, if I don't lose sight of the 4-hour 25 pacers, I know that more or less I'm going to end up in the 4-hour 25. So if I have strength in me, maybe I can kick it at the end. Like I can push a little bit and maybe pass them. But as long as I'm next to them, I'm in the nearby, in the vicinity, I'm going to be good. So then the half point, I crossed at 2 hours 13, which was, again, good, because if you double that, I mean, marathons don't work like that, but if you double that, it's 4 hours 16, 4 hours 26. So yeah, I was like kind of, like the paces at that point were going at the right pace, because I crossed the 13.1, and exactly, because they have someone there on a microphone saying, you're in the halfway point, someone from the New York City Marathon. They have music loud and everything on top of that bridge, on top of that overpass. So then after Queens, the tall buildings and everything, then you go under the Queensborough Bridge. And this, I cannot emphasize enough how tough. I mean, I'm thinking about it and it gives me chills, because you're going through Queens, you go through the tall buildings, and then everything after that is kind of low. It's like just townhouses and like houses with a tiny little, it's not massive. There's not a lot of space. So you see all these houses, and then you see the bridge coming like on top. Like, I don't know. It's just, it sneaks up on you like so quickly. I don't even know how that is. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention, but you see all these little houses, townhouses, and then you see like the bridge, and it's like, holy shit, I am at the bridge. This is it. Like the Queensborough, everybody says the Queensborough Bridge breaks or makes your race. So let's see, is it going to break mine? So you go into the Queensborough Bridge, and when you go on it, again, the GPS loses signal because you're underneath. So, and that thing is a beast, guys. It's so long, so steep, and you can't hear anything. You just hear the paces, people running next to you. And I don't know how I did it at that point. I must have like really slowed down a lot, because the 4-hour 30 pacer, she passed me, and I saw her. She was wearing like this huge crown. Like she was dressed, she was really cute. She was dressed like the Statue of Liberty. So she had the crown, and she was holding her facing thing. And she was like, come on guys, let's do this. You're gonna go on the other side. We'll get to Manhattan. So she was like, she had a ton of energy. But I saw her, and I paced next to her for a while, for a good, which I probably shouldn't have done. Again, I think I went on that bridge way too fast. I probably should have gone slower and just let her. But in my mind, it was like, okay, she's the 4:30. I'm doomed if I can't keep up with 4-hour 30 pacer. I'm not finishing this in 4 hours 20. So in my mind, I don't know. At that point, I think it's when I really felt like, as much as I want to finish this in 4 hours 20, I don't think at this point this is possible. But so then you climb off of the Queensborough Bridge. It's super narrow on the other side. So when you're coming off of it and you're going downhill, there's a lot of people that all of a sudden, so the runners are spread out on the bridge, but then the ramp down is very narrow. So everybody gets like kind of sort of close to each other. And then there's a sudden turn to the left and you are going into Manhattan. And the last, I want to say 100 yards on the bridge, you hear like a roar. And this is the best way to describe it. You hear like so much noise. And it's the people on First Avenue, which is still far, but like with cowbells and people playing music and bands playing. There was a marching band, like an actual marching band with the drums and everything on First Avenue. But you hear all of that. And because the bridge is so quiet, it just comes like the noise comes through, like it comes at you, like, I don't know. And then you're like with so many people together and you turn to the left and then you turn around. And as you turn around, this was just like, because when you're done with the bridge, you think, okay, I got this. I passed the bridge. I survived the bridge. I'm good. Like at that point, I was like, okay, I'm good. 4 hours, 30 pacers are there. I'm just going to push. I'm going to see my family, my husband, my son, and friends. Now I knew where they were. They were on 72nd Street. So I knew, not 79th Street. I knew where they were going to be. And because of how these streets are in New York City, you can count them. So it's very hard to meet someone because you can count the streets. So I'm going. But then once you turn around from the bridge, you see, you know, you're in a hell. And the way you know you're in a hell is because you see thousands of runners higher than you. So imagine like you see them like you're here and you see, you can't really tell. Like, I think you wouldn't be able to tell that it's a hill if it wasn't because of all those runners that you see like going up. So it's just like, it gives you the chills like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go through all of that. Like, it's long, like you just see heads and heads and heads and heads and heads and people like moving, running up, like that bounciness. So then finally I'm counting streets. I see my family. I have my husband. I'm just getting the chills just thinking about this. And I start crying like I haven't seen them in like 25 years or something. I don't know, like I've walked through the desert, or I just saw their faces smiling at me and I just started crying like a baby. Like I don't know what possessed me, because they've gone and see me run in other races. And it's not the first time, but I was so like overwhelmed. And then my husband said, I'm proud of you. And I was like, I left and I was like crying like a baby. Like, I think I was crying for a good 3 miles after that. I mean, to be honest, I lost it completely. Like, I don't know how you can go so bananas. Anyway, but that's long. I mean, that's like you're going off First Avenue all the way up. And then it has a little bit downhill, tiny downhill. And then you go into the Bronx. You cross another bridge, which is the Pulaski Bridge. It's a little bit like an incline. It's not too bad. You go over that and you get to the Bronx. Now, the Bronx is, again, super noisy. And at that point, I was so overwhelmed with so much stuff going through my head. And I just wanted to be done. I was tired. I think the crying portion just wore me out completely. So then you go through the Bronx. They have music super loud. And then you see the mile marker 20. And when I saw the mile marker 20, I was like, okay, I'm going to back this. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish strong. Let's push. Come on, legs. I'm going to go. I turned off my music because I could not hear the music anyway, because the music is so loud. No matter how loud you have your headphones, you can't hear anything at all. It's just that people are too noisy. Like the music's too loud. The bands are playing too loud. There's drums, cowbells, everything. So you don't need music in New York City Marathon because you can't hear it anyway. So then that portion of the course has a lot of turns. So these are not really well represented in the map when you look at it, but it has like twists and turns. They're tiny, but you're going through streets in the Bronx. And then you get out of there and then you go back into Manhattan, and then you're just going down Fifth Avenue. Now, because on these I knew, but I could not get it out of my mind. So I had been told that when you're going on Fifth Avenue, that's a straight line. And then I think it's 106 or 103rd Street, then you turn into Central Park proper, because at that point you're on Fifth Avenue, you're going next to Central Park. You actually can see the numbers of the streets. So there you're on like 136th Street. and you know you're not turning till 58th. So it's a lot of blocks in New York City that you're going down, and you know that you're at the end and everything, but I should not have, because in my mind I was counting. I was like, okay, I just have these many left. I just have these many left. I just have to get myself to 58th. Once I get to 58th, it's just like, it's the last half mile. I just have to get to 58th. And I kept saying that, and I could not get it out of my mind. Like, I still have like another 90 blocks. So, or 80 blocks, you know, or 70 blocks. It was so many, like in my mind, it's such a huge number that you can't really, I don't know, it just messed up with my brain. And at that point is when in my video, I'm actually crying and saying, I can't do this. I'm not doing well. I couldn't even breathe because I kept looking at the numbers. And again, I should have known better and just like trying to just put my head down, look at my feet, and just kept going. But I kept thinking, I am still on like 102. I'm still on 101. When am I going to freaking get to 58th? Like, it was so overwhelming. And then you turn to the right. This is funny. At that point, right before Central Park, right before we turned into Central Park, there was one of these Sweet 16 parties. They were trying to cross the street in the middle of the marathon with tons of runners running. These, obviously, with the photographer, like all the photography equipment and everything, the girl with this huge Sweet 16 purple dress. And I was running. I could not stop myself. I missed. I thought I was going to hit her because they were not moving fast. She was on wheels, on high heels. And the photographer had all that equipment, and they were not moving fast enough. So I was like, I can't stop myself because I was hurting so much. So I missed them by a smidge. It was like, oh my God, who does this? Who crosses the middle of the freaking New York City Marathon? Anyway, but then you turn into Central Park. And once I'm in Central Park, I was like, okay, I got this. I know Central Park. I've run many times here. I know what I'm doing. My family is going to be here to the left. I know where they're going to be. But at that point, I was so tired, I could not get my bearings. It's a very familiar place to me. And I kept thinking, once I pass the Metropolitan Museum, I actually know I don't have that much left. So I kept thinking, I just have to wait and see the Met. I see the Met, and then I'm just there. I see the Met, and I'm just there. I never saw the Met. I think at that point I was so tired and so like exhausted and just so overwhelmed, and I was hurting. Like, my legs were on fire. My calves were like, I've never had so much pain in my calves ever. Like, it was like throbbing from all the hills. So I was like, I don't know where the Metropolitan is. I don't know where I am. I'm in the middle of Central Park. I don't know. Everything looks the same. All the trees, like, I could not. And then all of a sudden I saw my family, my friends. And I was going, they were actually at like a downhill, and I was trying to get momentum. So I just told them, I can't stop. I'm in the video actually saying, I can't stop. I can't stop. Because I was thinking, if I stop, I'm not going to be able to restart myself again. So I kept going. And then I arrived to 58th. And then as you turn there, you can hear the music. It's amazing how loud they must have, because there's a distance to the finish line at that point. Still, it's probably more than half a mile. And you can hear the music and the announcer saying the names of the runners that are crossing the finish line. And you still have to go all of 58th and then turn at Columbus Circle and then run that portion in Central Park, which is, you know, when Shalane Flanagan was there, like when she won New York City Marathon, that whole portion is when they, you know, like, it's like super recognizable for, you know, for New York City Marathon. It has the signs and the flags and everything. So I was going there, and the spectators there were like amazing, because they were like, you're almost there. Just go, just push a little further. I mean, that at that point, I was just like crying, guys. I was crying so much because I really wanted to get to be done. I just wanted to cross the finish line. I was just saying, I need to get this done. I want to do it. I want to cross the finish line. And then when you get there, they have a big Jumbotron. Jumbotrons are always big, huge. I mean, a massive. I've never seen anything this big, like super big. And they have a DJ there DJing. And then as I'm crossing, legit, I hear the music. This is my dream. And I start crying even more, because this was my dream to run New York City Marathon. So when I'm going there, you can't even see at that point the finish line, but you know it's there. We walked it the day before, so I knew it was there. So I just tried going as fast as I could, and people kept passing me on the left and the right. So obviously I wasn't going that fast. But yeah, I was going and going and going, and then I made it to the finish line. It was like I didn't even see. It's good that I was taking video because I didn't even see the grandstands. Like there's grandstands for a good portion of that section. I didn't even see people there. Like all I could see is just like keep going, and I could feel people passing me. It was like everything is a blur. And then across the finish line, they give you your medal. They put your poncho on, which is super cool because they poncho. It's like they are knighting you. They put the hood first, and then they zip you up like this. And you're super tired, and you just let them. If they wanted to be jabbed with a stick, you would let them do it because you're so tired. They put that thing around you, and you're so cozy and so warm. And it's like, okay, I just have to go home. And you feel so like overwhelmed with emotions. I mean, that finish line is just like the way that they do everything with the music and everything. It's just like, I wasn't the only one crying. There were many people crying. I mean, it's so stimulating. I mean, there's so much, I don't know. It's just a crazy. Let me see now if I can show you. Hi, Christian. Hi, you did awesome in your marathon. I saw your video too. It's like, man, you got awesome footage. Let me see if I can show you now my stats. Let's see if I can figure this out. I don't think this is going to work because I have so many screens open. Let me do this, guys. Let me see if I can show you because you can actually know. Okay, I think I got it now. Okay. So you can actually notice that I was going too fast at the beginning. Okay, now it's going to work, guys. Let me go back here. I need to see you. Okay. This is, I swear I did this several times when I was, and it's not working right now. I don't know why. So I hope you can see this, guys. So if you notice, I started like on the 10. I was a little bit under that. But again, I was with the pacers that were the 4 hours 25. So I shouldn't have been going 10. Should have been going a little bit slower than that. And then after the half is when I really started slowing down a lot. And the bridge is right here in the middle. Like where you see that little descent, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th bar, that's the bridge. After that, I really started. And then the last, after the kilometer, like kilometer 37, I guess after like mile 20 is when I thought I was going super slow. I maintained my 5.5, actually 5.5 miles per hour speed. So I didn't think I was maintaining that speed. I thought I was going, a lot slower. It felt like I was going much, much slower. So yes, Kirsten has a great, great video. Yep. Okay, let me go back. I'm trying to recall as much of the race as I can. It's funny how it has just evaporated from my memory. I'm going to remember this race forever, I think. I remember all the details. I was so overstimulated that I just remember everything. Smells, sounds, music, the streets. I don't know. I was like really on overdrive. I mean, I finished the race and I could tell that I had like a minor headache, like one of those like headaches that you have up here that really don't, they're just there. It's not like they're not, you don't have to take anything because they're not like super, super hurting a lot. But it just finally disappeared this morning. So I've had that like kind of that fogginess since I finished the marathon. Yeah. And he's saying, I think that pacers sometimes do that by strategy in second half is usually slower. So things that I would do differently in this race, if I had to do it all over again, I would go out much slower. I don't know if you did this. Christian, if you're still here, if you did this, I should have gone slower. But again, I had no way of knowing because my Garmin was not connecting. So did you have issues, Christian, with your GPS, with the buildings and the bridges and all that? I'm just curious. Okay, he's saying, when I ran New York City in 2019, I didn't remember Central Park at all, as I thought back for this year. Yeah, I think at that point, I just remember trees. Like, it's funny how you can be familiar with something. And then I was so like disoriented at that point. I just remember seeing trees like passing me. Like I missed the Met completely. And that was my point. I was like, okay, once I see the Met, I know I don't have a lot more to go. So, but yeah, Dave, did you have a good race? I don't know. Maybe he disconnected already. So yeah, guys, I'm going to show you my medal, which is the same medal everybody else has. It's not mine. But it's funny because my neighbors, the kids wanted to see the medal, my next door neighbor, so they stopped by last night. And the little kid, I think he's 5 or 6. I showed him a medal, and the first thing he says is like, "Oh, wow, you were 5th?" And I'm like, no, sweetheart. It's the 50th anniversary. I wasn't 5th. And then he was like, so what was your, like, you were not 5th. So what number were you? He says it like that. I'm like, oh, I was like 15,000. I actually have that data here somewhere. Let's see if I can patch you in now and show you this. Let's see if I can share now. So this is what I did, guys. 4:45:41 pace per mile, 10:54, and my place overall was almost 15,000 out of almost 25,000. But this is what's interesting, in the middle of their my age group placement. I was 556 of 1,337. So I guess I was percentile 40th, something like that, which is not bad in my mind. You know, I want to be positive. It's not bad. It was amazing. I'm glad to read that, Dave. Your GPS was definitely off. Yeah, so you just went by the mile markers. Yeah. So how were you able to pace yourself? I'm curious about that. And I want to see if I can show you now my actual crossing they have markers it was 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K, then the half, 25K, 30K, 20 miles, 35K, 40K, and then the finish. So let me show you my time here. And then after this, I would have to go. I actually have a meeting, so I had to get up. Let me show you this. If you have any questions, guys, get them in right now because I have to log off pretty quickly after this. So see, I was flying all the way till the 15K. Those times for me, they were like just unbelievable. I mean, they're really, really good for me. But I crossed the half in 2 hours 13. So it took me another 2 hours 30. I guess it's not that bad, right? 2 hours and 32 to finish the second half. So I'm super proud of my marathon. It's just that if I had to do it again, I probably would have tried to not be so excited. I was way too excited at the beginning, just too overwhelmed with everything. I mean, this was my dream coming true, and I just didn't know how to regulate myself, if that makes sense. And Joaquin, tengo agujetas, sí. I'm still sore, but so this is how Dave was doing it. I was calculating at like 4 miles, 8 miles. Congrats on a great race. Hey, I still PR'd. I just wanted to PR by more, but I don't want to. Tons of people would love to do 4 hours 45. So I'm not going to complain about it. I'm turning 48 in a few days, guys. So, and I didn't start running until I was 43. So I'm a newbie still, quote unquote. Okay, guys. So I'm going to have to go. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry you were so late, Joaquin. I know that you're probably finishing work right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support. Dave missed his PR by 25 seconds. Almost a PR. But this is New York City Marathon, though. I mean, it's so hilly. It's a tough course. It's not easy. So, but I'm sorry to have to go so rushed at the end, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all. There's more content coming up. I'm running another marathon, and it's a surprise. I sort of said it, but not many people know it yet. I haven't been hiding, but but yeah, there will be an announcement coming up with my next marathon. So I'll see you soon. Tune out for more content. Run fearless.